Good morning, Unity on the River. We're going to open this day's service. There's nothing cooler than being with you. That's right. So we're going to affirm our 25-year celebration hymn, I Am Unity on the River, and we're going to start with that. I am unity on the river, and I live as the love I am.
Power that makes me whole.
grip to sing, I want to live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know all the things I found. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me learn from all the ways I fall. Let me learn from all the ways I fall. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me share from all the good Lord always. Let me share in all the good Lord. Oh, let me care for all around the world. Let me care for all around the world. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me share the good that's overflowing. Let me share our good that's overflowing. Oh, let my steps reveal a path of peace. Let my steps reveal a path of peace. Oh, let me talk each day a little kinder. Let me talk each day a little kinder. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love
So much love in that woman. And we welcome Steve Samler up to play flute. Steve, let's give him a hand. Thank you, Steve. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. This is a lovely Rumi poem. We'll sing it together. Join hands with us as we sing, "Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place."
There's a Let us pray. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place because God is made visible, manifest, and felt in each and every one of us. Today we come together as we do every Sunday to celebrate that, to remember that, to honor that, to deepen ourselves in the consciousness of that. This is the truth of who we are, the truth of who we are called to be. Indeed, God made manifest. And as we walk this path, we do so in abundance and joy and peace and grace and the fullness of all that is. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen and amen. You may be seated. Good morning. Are you finally feeling like summer today, this weekend? Yeah. Nice. I'm finally in my happy warm place because of the weather. But I'm so glad that you chose to brave the sauna-like conditions outside and step into the coolness of community here at Unity on the River. I'm Reverend Ogun. In case you haven't had a chance to meet, I look forward to connecting with you a little bit after service as well. Happy today to share the stage with my friend David Tompkinson. Glad you're here, David.
Thank you, Ogun. Haven't been up here in quite a while. Been a little traveling to the doctor, getting a cataract removed, a little skin cancer, a little this, a little that. It's only a body, you know. It's not who I am at all. So good morning to all of you who are not on, as the Canadians say, on holiday. We'll have our own holiday right here. I'd like to welcome the streamers, those who are looking in from outside who are on holiday. We don't envy you. Yes, we do. Just lying. Let me see. Thank you for being with us today, everybody. You can join us on YouTube at any time. Dial it up. I'd like to welcome anybody who is here for the very first time. Do we have any first-timers here? Okay. Would you mind? We have something to give you. We have a flower and a little packet for you. Keep your hand up so Lynn can see you. Anybody else? And you can take those flowers to the gift shop and get a discount after the service. That's what we do. Anybody else? Okay. Let me see now. I haven't done this in a long time. A lot of words, so I follow the script. I tend to depart from the script. Anyway, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Took the time out. I am not complaining. I did my complaining last winter and spring waiting for this. I never hear anything out of me. We are Unity on the River is a center for celebration, transformation, inspiration, spirit-centeredness, oneness, and joy. So please hold these truths in your heart as we say our mission statement together. Transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. And our vision statement. Awakened to and transformed by divine love, we are an expanding, compassionate, inclusive beacon of light. Have a few brief announcements. On August 10th, we are going to have there's a Habitat for Humanity Work Day. That's a wonderful project, helping people with housing. We also there's a collection bin out there for Pettingill Houses Operation Backpack, collecting school supplies for the upcoming year. I'm assuming pencils, pens, notebooks, school supplies, put them in the bin out there and help contribute to that cause. David McKay, a Buddhist monk, will be visiting us on Saturday, August 3rd, leading a workshop entitled The Way of the Authentic Life. He will be then speaking the next day on Sunday, August 4th. His title is Living from the Heart, and he has a book as well out in the bookstore. Also on Sunday, August 11th, Tam McKeeves, a Course in Miracles teacher and speaker and visionary, will be coming. And she will be the guest speaker on that Sunday, Thriving Through Uncertainty. All of these things, there's more information. See Michael in the back, and he has more information. Now let me turn the page here. This is our time where we greet each other in peace, our namaste. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. So stand and greet your neighbor.
heart to heart, we're making it one heart at a time, one hand at a time, one voice at a time, lifting up for God's presence as us. So I wrote this song, Heart to Heart, and I hope you'll join in anytime you feel like singing Heart to Heart with us. Heart, we're making it heart to heart. It's the web of life, heart to heart. Wake up to share in the love, share. Voice to voice, we're bringing it voice to voice, all of creation, voice to voice, sing out to share in the love, share, beating God's own drum. To heart, we're making it heart to heart, in this web of light, heart to heart, wake up to share in the love, share, hand to hand, we're reaching out, hand to hand, across the great divide, hand to hand, with the bravest teaching, share in the love, share, beating God's own drum, beating God's own drum. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to Steve's family and also to Mike Avery, who's filling in for our dear Steve. To go.
And don't forget Meg Ray.
What Barry said, Meg Rain. There we go. I wanted to start off today by sharing with you my favorite 2 minutes from my trip in Barbados. Watch this not for me, but watch this for the guy who is lockstep supporting me in what I say. If this doesn't make your day, I don't know what will. Can we play this?
Remind everyone here in Barbados that who you are and how you were created is absolutely perfect. So God is love, and you are God's love in all your beautiful colors, and that's the truth of who you are. And I want to issue 2 challenges to the community today. The first one is to the churches and the religious establishment that call themselves Christian on this island. If you are Christian on this island, that means you follow the life and teachings of Jesus, who said, love your neighbor. He did not put any conditions on it, and I challenge anyone to show me the Bible where Jesus spoke out against homosexuality. It's not there. It is not there. So I challenge the churches to live out the creed that they have promised to, which is to love. And the second challenge is to those on this island who are silent allies. Stop being silent. Please get your courage from these folks here, the queer community of this island, who have inspired us with their courage and their bravery. Step up, man up, woman up, queer up, get out of the silence as allies and come support this community. You're not alone. There are thousands upon thousands all over the world supporting you and supporting the change that is inevitable in Barbados. It's coming, you can't stop it, so you might as well get on board. Get on board. That's all I got. God bless you all. Amen.
Inevitable!
Thank you, Beth.
Everyone.
I watch that video at least twice a day since I've been back. You can't watch it and not laugh and smile and be grounded in just the enthusiasm that was there, just encapsulated in that one dude. It's awesome. People, since I've been back and I've been talking to people about the trip, I mentioned, I spoke some about it last week, but in one-on-one conversations during these last couple of weeks, people keep asking me, how did you do that, basically? How did you get yourself in a place where you were able to go do what you did? So I want to talk a little bit about that today. And I'll start by saying this. I consider myself both a spiritual seeker and a spiritual skeptic. What do I mean by, spiritual seeker speaks for itself. But the idea of a spiritual skeptic is one who doubts and questions. That's what a skeptic is, one who doubts and questions. And I remember growing up in Barbados and being in a church environment, as some of you have been, where questioning and doubting was frowned upon. You had to just believe, take it on faith. And if it didn't make sense, well, too bad. That's part of the God mystery, God's plan. What happened to me and part of my transformation started because for me, God needed to make sense. I needed to reconcile both my heart, what I felt, and my head, what I thought. If the two weren't lining up, and in most things in life today, if the two aren't reconciling, aren't lining up with each other, there's a little disconnect there. And it might be a simple idea of I don't understand a thing yet, or I haven't practiced it enough that it's become my second nature. But if you're going to tell me that I need to rely on faith, something that I can't comprehend, then that's not going to sit well enough with me. So I question, I doubt. I'm a spiritual skeptic. I mentioned this quote by Anne Lamott last week. well-known author. And she says, the opposite of faith is not doubt, but certainty. Certainty is missing the point entirely. Faith includes noticing the mess, the emptiness and discomfort, and letting it be there until some light returns. Faith includes noticing the mess, the emptiness and discomfort, and letting it be there until some light returns. So that was part of the catalyst for me to again question, doubt, get out of the faith of my upbringing, the beliefs of my upbringing, and do some exploring. And I found unity, or unity found me, as I like to say. And the greatest gift that unity gave me was the ability to reconcile my heart and my head around spirituality, around God, around these teachings. The thing I posted this morning on Facebook, every Sunday morning I post, a selfie, and I remind people of the link to live stream, what we're talking about. So I posted a picture of me in the shirt, love is my religion, but I also followed it up with, and metaphysics is my spiritual practice. Love is my religion, and metaphysics is my spiritual practice. What is metaphysics? Metaphysics are the core teachings of unity. The core teachings of unity that allow us to take, whether it's readings from the Bible or other spiritual teachings, and put them in a way that we can practice them and have tangible results. In fact, that was the first tagline of unity, practical Christianity. Christianity as in following the life and teachings of Jesus, but practical because we can practice it. We have to be able to practice it and understand it. And understanding the metaphysics of unity is where it starts, okay? So for today and next Sunday, that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about. Because a lot of times we come to unity because it feels good, right? The music feels good. The being with each other feels good. The God is love feels good. The we accept everyone feels good. It feels good. It resonates somewhere deep inside of us as this is the way it's supposed to be, okay? And we're happy with that, and that's a great place to be. Many of us, however, don't go much further than that. We don't go much further than that. On one level, that's okay. On one level, that's okay. But what I encounter is many folks who are in that place, but then the rest of their life on the outside, the Monday through Saturday experience, kind of looks a little all over the place. There's upheaval, there's chaos, there's a sense of not enoughness, there's I can't do this and I can't do that, and there's all this, and then we come here and we sit on Sunday because it feels good. It's like an oasis, a respite from all the craziness of our Monday through Saturday life. So my invitation for you is to know that as you step deeper and learn more about the actual metaphysical teachings of unity, that Sunday experience becomes a whole week experience. Wouldn't you like to feel good like you do on Sunday every day of the week? Absolutely you would. If you didn't say yes just now, that's okay too. I don't know why you wouldn't say yes, but that's okay, okay? So how do you get this feel-good Sunday experience every other day of the week? One of the most interesting things someone once told me was, usually come on Sunday and it lasts me till about Tuesday. If nothing crazy happens, I could push it to like Wednesday night, maybe Thursday morning. That's about it. Then I got to come back Sunday. No. If you really know, learn, and practice the metaphysics of unity, this Sunday morning experience, I can pretty much guarantee you, it's going to be a Monday through Saturday experience as well. The reason that is because I've come to understand that unity has a set of spiritual or universal principles and laws that allow me to put them into practice. But first I had to know what they were, and I had to know what this meant, okay? So today I'm going to talk about the spiritual principles, what that means. Next week is going to be the spiritual laws. I'm not going to teach you all of them because I got like 20 minutes up here on Sunday morning. I often push it to 30. Some days it's pushed to 40, and then I get some looks afterwards, like, Went along today, Reverend Ogun, sort of deal. So I don't have enough time. But we give you the opportunity. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So here we are. We're talking about universal spiritual principle. What does that mean? So the best way I can equate this to you is think of science principles. They're like certain foundational science principles that are facts or constants. They're unchanging. As far as we can tell, things like the principle of thermodynamics and gravity is the same wherever you go in the universe or wherever we've been so far, as we can pick it up. Until further notice, those laws like gravity and thermodynamics, they're not changing. Okay? Same thing with spiritual principles. They don't change. They're facts. I know they're facts because when I put them into practice, they kind of work. Okay? Here's the other thing. They're the fundamental basis of everything in the relative realm. What do I mean by the relative realm? I mean the outside life. Okay? Whatever is outside of you, that's relative realm. The realm of the five senses is what Charles Fillmore, UNI's co-founder, like to call it. In fact, he said this. He says, whatever we see without is controlled by something within. Whatever we see without is controlled by something within. So, however our outside life is showing up and appearing, we kind of had a hand in that because of where our consciousness is. What do I mean by that? Is simply these universal spirituals or principles, because they're a fact, they're constant, they're unchanging, the way we use them is at the level of our consciousness. Our consciousness is sum total of what we believe, think, see, feel in our entirety. So wherever that is, that's how these come into play, if that makes sense. We are kind of like the conduit. And however our conduitness is, I just made up that word, yes. However our conduitness is, or think of it as like a channel for these principles to be expressed in, however it is, that's what's going to show up in our lives. Don't hear this as a blame statement. Hear this as a responsibility statement. Don't hear this as a fault statement. Hear this as an accountability statement. Hear this as I can design my life based on these spiritual principles so that I have that feel-good Sunday morning experience Monday through Saturday. I can do it. Many of you in this room have done it. But it can be done, but it starts with learning what they are and learning how to put them into practice. So, let's look at some of the attributes of these universal or spiritual principles. As I mentioned, absolute and unchanging. Always the same. Formless and timeless. A principle doesn't take up space. It doesn't have any physical form. And it transcends time. Okay, think of the easiest parallel I always say to people is think of gravity. Can you see gravity? No. Can you touch it? No. Does gravity have a time component to it? No. Does it ever stop happening? No. Even when you're floating in space, gravity's still there and it still affects you. Omnipresent potential. What does omnipresent potential mean? Omnipresent simply means everywhere all at the same time. Okay? Gravity affects everything, everywhere, all at the same time. And potential, again, kind of that it's always there ready to be used. Okay, so think of gravity again. Gravity is what's keeping my feet on the floor, the chair's on the floor, and you in the chair. Okay, it's always there, it's always present, always ready to be used. And we can use it like cats use it when they push stuff off the table and the thing falls. Yeah, it's on the table, it's got potential there, and down it goes. The last interesting piece of universal and spiritual principle is this idea of being uncognizant. Cognizant, coming from cognition, means to be aware or to know. These principles, they don't know who you are, if you're using them. They're not aware of you using them at all. Gravity doesn't say, hey, you know what, just for kicks, I'm going to keep Ogun on the stage, but make David float up to the ceiling. Right? It's a fact, it's a constant, it's a principle, it's always in action, it's not thinking. Gravity is not thinking, hey, you know what'd be fun today? Let's make cars fly like airplanes. And gravity decides, I'm not going to affect cars, and the cars will just float up in the sky. No, gravity is not thinking, because gravity is a principle. Principles they don't have thoughts, feelings, uncognizant. Here are some examples of universal or spiritual principles. Abundance. Think of those qualities I just went through. Abundance. There's no time constraint to abundance. Abundance doesn't say, hey, you know what? I'm going to dole out some for David, but not for Ogun today. Abundance doesn't say that. Abundance doesn't have a form. I mean, you can, get a lot of material stuff in your house, a lot of money in the bank, and call that abundance. Or you can not have a lot of material stuff, not a lot of money in the bank, truly be free and abundant as well. So abundance is not a material thing. It's a principle. It's a principle that stands under everything. So is joy. Joy as distinct from happiness. Joy is that principle that, again, does not decide if you're going to feel it or not or what. It's just there. It's just there. In potential, always present. And we can choose to live from it or not. We can choose to remember that that's a principle that we can use, activate, work in order to feel joy, regardless of what's going on out here. Because if we use a principle like joy, remember, if what happens within happens without, then everything that happens out here we experience in a joyful way. Again, distinct from the emotion of happiness versus sadness. I'll dig some more into that a little bit later. Love, everybody's favorite spiritual principle, love. But again, distinct from the emotional feeling. These have nothing to do with emotions. Love as a principle is the thing that stands under everything that it's like that ability of attraction and desire. So when I remember that love is a spiritual principle and I can use it, then it allows me to attract myself to the things that I believe I desire and the experience that I want to have. So if I want to have an experience of, I don't know, name something you want to have. Anybody? Okay, nobody wants anything. Good. I'm not there yet. Anybody? Name an experience. Not a thing, but an experience. Serenity. Okay. Serenity. So, what causes lack of serenity? Is it in here, or is it all the mess out there? Or is it both? So when I can remember that the principle of love, which is, again, the essence of everything, a principle that I can use, when I practice the ways to use that, I can suddenly attract myself into situations that either bring me serenity, bring me peace, are peaceful, and also the realization that the awareness of peace starts in here first. And when it starts in here, and this is at peace, and I am at peace, then I bring that peace into whatever I step into. I don't look out there for the serenity and peace. I bring it to whatever is out there. But perhaps the most challenging part of this entire spiritual journey is to accept the true, overarching, spiritual, universal principle as unity presents it, which is God. Even though we may have gotten to the point where we no longer believe as God is the old man in the sky rolling out his wrath and judgment or whatever, and we say things like God is love, we don't quite maybe all the way grasp that what that means is God is also universal, spiritual, and principle. God is also all these attributes that we speak about: absolute and change and timeless, omnipresent, potential. And this last one, which I think we have the most struggle with, is uncognizant. Check in on your feelings as I say the following: God does not care about you. Check in with how that felt. I'll say it again: God does not care about you. Please send all your letters to the board members. I don't want them. All your emails, all your texts, everything. How could he say that? Yada, yada. Send them to the board. They'll deal with me. I don't want them. So how can I say that? Let's go back. Look at these things. In unity's primary teaching is that God is principle. Let me read to you from our founders, both Myrtle and Charles Fillmore. And here we go. Myrtle Fillmore: rather than holding to the view that God is a person being subject to change, capable of varying moods, God is it, neither male nor female, but principle. Charles Fillmore: so long as the concept of a man God exists in consciousness, there will be lack of room for the true concept, which is that God is first cause, the principle from which flow all manifestations. God is principle. God does not have feelings. God does not have emotions. God does not decide to show favor on one person or group and not another person and group. God doesn't care, not because God is cold and callous. God doesn't care because a principle doesn't have feelings. Now, I know this is really hard, and here's why this is really hard for some of us. And trust me, I struggled with it for a lot of years. This is hard because, one, for many of us, we were brought up to believe that God cared. God loved us. God was spirit. God was looking out for us. God was also watching over us. God was like that sting sound. Every breath you take, every step you make, I'll be watching you. Right? We were brought up to believe that, and that we had to do certain things so that God would be pleased with us. It was a real I-thou relationship. And part of it also was when you're this small, when you're a little kid, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is a fairly kind of like abstract context. Children at that age don't really have the cognition to understand that. No, they definitely feel it here. They definitely feel it here. But then they ask questions and we tell them things, right? So that happens, and we tell them simply because that's what we thought too. When we believe that God loves us and cares for us and has a plan for us, we have what I like to call reverse engineered God. We have created God in our image, not realizing, as every religion and spiritual tradition has taught, we are created in the image and likeness of God. We are created as spiritual principle. The essence of us is also formless and timeless. Our consciousness is also omnipresent potential. And like anything else, when these principles are always there ready to be used, and depending on where consciousness is, it's gonna do the work to bring them into form. And it doesn't care who we are, again, because it doesn't have what? Feelings, because it's just a principle. Some of y'all are really gonna struggle with this week. And when I said send the letters to the board, I was kind of kidding, of course. If you're really struggling with this as I spell it out over the next couple of weeks, please come call me, see me. I got no problem being in the struggle with you. Because many of us have been in uni for years, and we still relate to God as something other than principle. And part of it is because And tell me if this resonates with you. You still want to be able to feel God. You still want to be able to feel God and experience God. What were some of the examples of spiritual principles that I shared with you? Abundance, joy, and love. When you feel abundance, you're feeling God. When you feel joy, you're feeling God. When you feel love, you're feeling God. You can feel these principles. That's kind of the whole point of them, to experience them, to use them and work them to create the experience of the life that you want, so you feel them on the back end. When you create a life of abundance, you feel abundant. That's God. When you create a life where your experience of it is serenity and peace, that's God. When you create a life where you are love and you can love others, that's God. So you can feel God when you use and practice God. Let me say that again. You feel God when you use and practice God. Yeah, I just said you can use God. How does that feel? I'm going to use God, right? So what is our first connotation when we hear that, right? We go to a place of use God. We get to manipulate God. We get to make God do what we want. Of course, you're going to think that way if your default is that God is anything other than principle, that God's still a being. Okay, people use each other. People use tools. When we talk about people using each other, there's that negative connotation, like I said, of manipulating, getting someone to do something they don't want to do. Okay, do you feel that way when you use a hammer? Do you at any point using a hammer go, well, I don't care if the hammer wants to drive this nail or not, I'm going to make it do it. Right? No, we don't. No, we don't. The hammer's a tool. These spiritual principles and the laws that I'm going to talk about next week are the greatest tools ever, because they allow us to use our consciousness in order to activate these principles to manifest the life we want to experience. In that way, we are using God. And I really want to invite you this week, as you ruminate over these words and they make you uncomfortable, to sit in the discomfort of them. Allow that discomfort to circulate in you a little bit. Especially the God doesn't care for you. That one's gonna, yeah, I know, I said it, I'm sorry. But it's kind of true. You care for you. That's who cares. That's the first person who should be caring for you. You care for you. So, in a couple of weeks, Tom Paolini, our resident licensed uni teacher, is going to be teaching a metaphysics class. I want all y'all to take it. Some people are looking at me, they're already laughing. I want all y'all to take it. Here's why. Here's why. The reason that I and other people can stand comfortably with that notion of God doesn't care about me is simply because I have learned what these principles are, I've learned what these laws are, I've learned how to use them, and I've learned how to create the life experience that I want to have by using them. Now, when you do that and really do it and really live it, and it becomes your default way of being, then you're fine with saying stuff like that. You're not uncomfortable anymore saying stuff like that. But the only way you can know is to learn in class and read the books. Someone said to me when I had recommended this class to them, they said, I don't know, Tom, so, I'm going to wait till you teach it. Okay, two things. One, that's very flattering, but no, No, it's not about who's teaching the class. It's about the fact that the class is there so that you can learn more. In my perfect dream world scenario, first of all, everyone would think and feel like I do. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want that to happen. In my perfect dream world scenario, every single one of you, whether you're sitting here today or you're watching on live stream, every single one of you, every single human being would learn these principles and laws and learn how to use them, transform their consciousness, transform their communities, and transform the world. This is my life's mission, to create a safe space for people to transform their consciousness. It's why I do what I do. And I do it because I've realized the effect it's had on me. I do it because when I see that video that I started with and see little old me there on those streets saying what I'm saying, and I stand back in awe at realizing that if you told 15-year-old me, 25-year-old me, 35-year-old me, I'm 45, by the way. If you told 35-year-old me that that was what was going to happen, I would have had, 15 would have been, oh, no way in hell. 25 would be never. 35, I don't know, I'm ready for that yet. But when we stand understanding these principles and how they allow us to manifest the who we want to be and the experience we want to have, then we can step into opportunities like that, bold. We can step into opportunities like that, grounded. We can understand what it means to make God manifest. Make God manifest. So this is my invitation to you. Learn these principles. If you can't make the class, there are a couple of great books in our bookstore. I highly recommend the one called Heart-Centered Metaphysics. Heart-Centered Metaphysics. But reading it might be a bit of a shock, because there's a lot of stuff in there that might upend your world. Even those of you who've been in Unity for years, come back with a beginner's mind. In karate, after you get the black belt, you know what happens? They put the white one back on, and you start the beginner classes all over again. Beginner's mind. Come back with an idea of, I can take this deeper now because I'm not the same person I was before. Wherever you are right now might be your comfort zone, and you want to get somewhere. You want to get to that place where your Sunday morning feel good experience is your Monday through Saturday experience as well. But it's just not going to magically happen. You got to learn and you got to apply what you've learned. My teacher's in middle school. My girlfriend's a middle school teacher, and she taught me a really cool phrase, the zone of proximal development. Any teachers in the house? Zone of proximal development. It's how far you get on your own versus how far you get when there's a teacher teaching you the tools and skills you need. And some of us, we think we're good and okay, just this is what I figured out so far for myself, I'm good to go. I know God is love and I'm going to live that way, and all right, I'm done. Or you can really kick this into high gear. This is the whole point of Unity. Not just to create a feel-good experience, but to give you the tools to create the experience of feeling good because you've created God. You've created these principles and made them visible. So again, if you struggle with this week, pick up the phone, give me a call. I'll be happy to chat with you. But most importantly, ask yourself, am I truly making the deepest commitment to spiritually educate myself so I can spiritually create the experience that I want? And wherever you land with that answer is okay. But just remember what Charles Fillmore says. What's happening outside of you, is a result of what's happening within you. On that note, let's go meditate now. So invite you to take a deep breath. And get in touch with any discomfort you may be feeling. If there's no discomfort, then simply settle into that deeper truth that you've already embraced. Either way, the truth stands. God, the universal principle, is first cause, the principle from which flow all manifestations, the principle that stands under all, that is the true essence of who we are and what we are here to be and create. To allow yourself to be willing to embrace an even bigger picture than you may be holding of yourself and the divine. Be willing to settle into the discomfort of being stretched. Be willing to embrace a true transformation of consciousness. A true transformation of your life. All you need to be lies within. Let us take that affirmation into the silence or a few moments. All I need to be lies within. For a few moments in the silence. All I need to be lies within. We hold this intention for all the names in the prayer box as well. all these requests of concerns, ultimately a request of love. We hold that these individuals remember the truth that all they need to be lies within them as well. And should you hold that intention for anyone else in your life, I invite you to say their names out loud now. In so doing, we're speaking an intention into the universe that they realize all they need is within. And that intention, we hold it for ourselves as well. Within us lies the principles, the spiritual laws, the very presence of God. And so it is.
I have faith. I pray faith. I choose faith. I am faith. I have faith. I pray faith. I choose faith. I am faith. Hope. I have hope. I pray hope. I choose hope. I am hope. I have hope. I pray hope. I choose hope. I am hope. When I trust. When I trust and I let go, I know that all is well. I have love, I pray love, I choose love, I am love, I have love, I pray love, I choose love, I am love. Peace, I have peace, I pray peace, I choose peace, I am peace, I have peace, I pray peace, I choose peace, I am peace. When I trust and I let go, I know that all is well. When I trust and I let go, I know that all is well.
So thank you, Ogun. Thank you, Meg. You know, one of the things I've learned as I'm aging and taking from your principles, it's all about learning to live and love comfortably with the unknown. That's what it is. No sense in fearing. I'd like to introduce our chaplains. If you would stand in the corners. These people are here to hear your prayers, your concerns, or your joy in private, and they will keep your confidentiality. Thank you. And we also have home and hospital visitors who will visit friends, neighbors, people who are connected with this church. Is there anyone here from the home and hospital? Oh, yes, Christine. Thank you. Catherine. I do that all the time. I call her Christine. I don't know why. That's why I wear my name tag, so I remember who I am. Yeah. And remember to put your prayer requests, if you have them, in the prayer box. and they will be prayed over, both here and at Unity Village. Now is the time for our affirmation of our tithes and offerings. Hold them in your hand if you have them, and let's say together our affirmation prayer. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Thank you, David. As the ushers collect the offering, two things I want to bring to your attention. Our annual gala, gratitude gala, will be this year on October 26th. October the 26th. And we're doing something different this year. We're doing something very different this year. I'll tell you more about that later, exactly what it is we're doing that's different. But trust me, it's going to be quite an experience. One of the things that we're doing differently is usually we have an auction that happens at the gala. This year, for the first time, we wanted to move a lot of those auction items online for a couple of reasons. At this gala event that we're doing, which is going to be different than we've had before, we won't have the same amount of time to do it. Plus, when we put it online, it opens it up to the wider community beyond who walks through these four walls or who comes to the gala. And we know that we have many people, for example, who live stream us every Sunday, who live in different places. We want to give them the opportunity to participate as well. So therefore, what I'd like for you to do is, if you are willing to donate items or experiences to the gala, start thinking about it, start calling the office, and start bringing those items in so we can start things earlier this year. So again, if you have items to donate or experiences to donate, some people donate, paintings. Some people have like a cottage up in the mountain somewhere, that let people come stay up for a week, a boat ride, tickets to a play or performance, anything that you can think of, tangible or experiential. What? Yeah, every year I auction off stay with me to Barbados. I'm not paying your plane fare. Let me just put that out there by getting excited. Okay, but you'll learn more. You'll learn more as time goes on. But start thinking about auction items that you can share with us. The other thing that I want to invite you into also is, we've been working with Gary Simmons in terms of transforming how we do church. One of the pieces of this transformative experience is starting something called spirit groups. We kind of experience this in a little bit when we do our fall adventures in faith, where we do a book study in people's homes. This is like taking that up to the next level. But it's a program that will involve training facilitators in a whole different way, and that training has an expense. And what we're hoping is that as an investment into the next evolution of our congregation, that some of you would be willing to step up and help underwrite this expense. As we've shared in the past few months, given where we are financially, especially with the relationship with our rental properties, we are not in a place where we have that income lying around to do this. So we're putting it out there. If there are any of you who want to consider helping to underwrite the cost of the training for these spirit groups, please come see me or see Michael at the back there. Michael is our operations director. Talk to Michael as well. The spirit groups is an ongoing thing all through the year. It's been proven to help grow communities. The biggest mega churches that you can think of in this country, that's part of how they all got to where they are right now. The most vibrant spiritual communities out there, this is part of one of the tools that they use. And the creator of it basically took the ideas from that and gave them the unity, what I like to call spin and wash, so that it's teachings and a structure that supports who we are, and now is implementing it in different churches around the country. And we get to be a part of that. So think about it. If you're thinking, how are some ways I can serve and give to my community in a bigger way, this might be one of them as well. So let's take a moment to bless and give thanks for our offering. So I invite you to take a deep breath and go to a place of gratitude within your hearts for these gifts. So whether you gave here this morning, or you donated online, or you transfer money from your bank account, however you choose to invest in your spiritual community, we are grateful. And we always tie the portion of these back into the wider unity movement and our local Amesbury community so that we can continue being the light. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen. Thank you very much. David's also got a couple gratitudes as well.
This is always a favorite part, to say thanks to people who have contributed so much to our spiritual community. So this week we're going to mention Malik, Lacey, Carl, Phyllis, Donna, Chucky, Peter, Mark, and from the bookstore, Jane and Sarah. And our different teams, building and maintenance team. There's Jim out there in the maintenance. Think of Pop. Gala team, PowerPoint team. And we want to thank the board members. Any of you here on the board, if you would stand, be recognized. Wednesday night service reminder this week, Samadhi service is led by Manny Murrows. So now we have one of my absolute favorite guitarists, and he's a pop artist. Take it away, Brian.
Thank you. I called that fireworks yesterday when I was playing, and it popped a few times. I went, no extra, it's just fireworks. How do you guys like the new arrangement? Yeah. In case you haven't seen him before, because he's always been turned sideways, this is John, our piano. It's time for the dead and gone. It's time for the broken ones to live again. It's time for the dead to rise. It's time for the wings to fly, to live again. I can hear the calling, I can hear the sound of rain. Over the mountains, over the valleys, I hear the calling. It's time. Over the mountains, over the valleys, I hear the calling, and it's time. It's time for the dead to sing. It's time for the walls to ring with songs of freedom. It's time for the numb to feel. It's time for the wounds to heal with songs of freedom. I can hear the calling, I can hear the sound of rain. Over the mountains, over the valleys, I hear the calling, and it's time. Over the mountains, over the valleys, I hear the calling. It's time. It's time for the tide to turn. It's time for our hearts to burn with a desperation. It's time for a sacrifice. It's time that we pay the price for our generation. Oh, I can hear the calling, and I can hear the sound of rain. Over the mountains and over the valleys, I hear the calling. It's time. Over the mountains and over Yes, it's time for the wings to fly. I hear the calling, and it's time. It's time for the numb to feel. Yes, it's time for our wounds to heal. I hear the calling, and it's time. Oh, it's time that we paid the price. It's time to make that sacrifice. I hear the calling, and it's time. Bring it on home. Over the mountains, over the valley, I hear the calling. It's time. Over the mountains, over the valley, I hear the calling, and it's time. Let me just hear your voices. Over the mountains, over the valleys, I hear the calling, and it's time. Over the mountains and over the valleys, I hear the calling, and it's time. Here we go, nice and loud. Over the mountains, over the valleys, I hear the calling, and it's time. Over the mountains, over the valleys, I hear the calling, and it's time. Thank you, Brian. Our children will not be coming in today, so let's just stay on our feet, take the hand of our neighbor, affirm the truth for ourselves, for them, for everyone else, that indeed there's peace. It begins with us. Let there be peace on earth. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed. nice and cool today, everybody.